This video is in response to someone who posted something on one of my other sites concerning why I don't like the war on drugs or drug rehab. Well, I decided to answer those questions. First, the war on drugs is a farce. It is unwinnable because you cannot force people into anything. History's proven that. It proved it back in the 1920s with Prohibition. And it's going to prove it again in the 21st century with the war on drugs. We force billions and billions of dollars a year into fighting a war we cannot win. But that's the whole structure of this country, fighting wars we cannot win anymore. Back in the 20s and leaked into the 30s, they realized that Prohibition does not work. It actually created more crime for the day, where back then roughly less than 1% of the population was imprisoned. Today, it's one in every 32 Americans are either in prison, on probation, or parole, which is a form of prison. Another thing that I keep seeing is here recently, a friend of mine had come out of prison after 10 years for drug trafficking. They went through the judge basically threw the book in a form of a plea bargain through the book. Told my friend for almost all of 10 years you're in there, you have to go through drug rehab, the whole step. In other words, when you're not working in prison, you will be attending these classes. Work, sleep classes. Work, sleep classes. Work, sleep. Work, classes, sleep. Better put it that way. And one of the books that they had was this one. You know where I found that book? When my friend got out, had a bunch of stuff, a little bit of stuff like books and stuff they got to keep. Do you know where I found this and several others like it? In a garbage can. When my friend got out of prison, could not get a job because nobody will hire a trafficker. Once they find out you have a felony record, it's don't call us, we'll call you. And when you get turned down too many times, you got to find some way of making a living. So my friend turned back to selling drugs. And that's what I keep telling them. For too long, we have made that criminal element the revolving door justice system, so-called revolving door, where people keep repeating the same crimes over and over again because there's nothing else to do. You won't hire a thief, so naturally, when they exhaust all legal options, they start going back to what they do best. Go back to crime because it's the only life they know. They're going to go back to prison. They already know the system, so it don't scare them no more. Once you're institutionalized, you're always institutionalized because there's no other way. Years ago, there was a study proving that if jobs were available, good work, and unable to not only support your family, not going from one day making $10 an hour down to making minimum wage, and then struggling, trying to roll up penny rolls to pay the power bill, or even get to work. But for too long, rehab, the war on drugs has more than hurt America. And on rehab, he went through all this stuff. He knew everything they knew. Went through the little round table, went through the whole 9 yards. Only to get out to find it was all full of shit and threw it in the garbage can with all the other trash. Knowing that the only people who respected him was people like him, other drug users and dealers. So he goes back to that world. It's kind of funny. That's what happens. So the so-called war on drugs is nothing more than a farce. Number two, rehab. Rehab doesn't work if you don't want it. I don't give a damn what everybody says. I can take this to anybody in prison right now. I've seen meth heads go through this whole thing, go right back to meth. Crackheads the same way. Heroin users. Because one of the jobs I did was counseling. But I believe the biggest fault we have today is that for too long we've been focusing more on punishment. Our judges and our court systems believe that longer prison stays are what these people need. In a country where 1 in every 32 Americans are in prison, when we're building more prisons than schools, when for adults there's more prisons than colleges, when there's more prisons than jobs, it should tell you something how bad we've gotten. When we're spending close to $2 trillion a year, federal and state and local areas, on prisons, it should tell you something. It's not working. We need a better alternative. I believe our best and our brightest is coming up. It's called Ron Paul. I believe if he gets in office, the first thing he'll do is appeal all these drug laws, start going back, getting rid of the loser wars that we're fighting today, and finally doing something right. But I believe the only way this country's ever going to go in full circle, and when America starts waking up and seeing where we're heading. I hope it's not too late, because I can tell you straight up, if we get losers like that's currently, other than Ron Paul, that's currently running, we're just going to get the more of what we have. It's your choice, America. Are you willing to live with it?